Hey, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Thank you all for coming to tonight's Herbal Study Hall. Appreciate you all joining us, and thank you to everybody who's watching this on replay. We'll give it just a minute for everyone to hop in. Hello, Ann Philbeck, Gail, Penny Ortiz. Good to see you all. Hello, Tamra. Thank you all so much for coming. Tina, thank you for coming by. All right, so today's Herbal Study Hall is pretty exciting. I'm excited to share it with you guys. And a brief introduction. I know I introduced myself on the last Herbal Study Hall. This also is a podcast, so you can go back and watch lesson 1 if you'd like. My name's Tammy. This is Mountain Grandma Channel. That's me. And I have been studying herbs for about 20 years and currently attending a school and working towards my RH through the American Herbalist Guild. The goal of this weekly live is going to be to cover one herbal concept, one herb of the week, an herbal recipe of the week. There will be an herbal assignment for everybody to work on, maybe occasionally a giveaway. And how you can participate is by subscribing, ringing the bell, hitting that thumbs up for me, sharing out with friends or family, anyone that you think might be interested in studying herbalism, and just being active in the chat here. And also, if you are here joining us live, don't forget to go and leave a comment afterwards, because that really helps to push out this live to the YouTube community. Before I get started with this week's topic, I just want to give a quick reminder and medical disclaimer. This live is for educational purposes only. I'm not a medical professional. Nothing shared here is meant to diagnose, treat, or replace medical advice from a qualified healthcare provider. Herbalism can be supportive, but everyone's body and health history are different. So please talk with your doctor or another licensed professional before trying new herbs, particularly if you're pregnant, nursing, taking medications, or if you're managing a medical condition. This space is about learning, exploring traditions, and understanding plants and herbs, not giving personal medical advice. So now that I said that, I hope you all have your tea ready. Maybe I should turn my little cup around. It's tea time, and class is officially in session for the Herbal Study Hall. So we can go ahead and get started. Today's topic is going to be about monographs, what they are, why they're important, and why you want to think about making your own. And high level, what is an herbal monograph? It's a detailed profile of an herb that helps you understand it at a deeper level. And if you have any herbal books and you go to look up an herb in that herbal book, you've seen an herbal monograph. They help herbalists to study, practice, be up to date with safety, and just compare one herb to another. And monograph versions vary. If you've noticed from one herb book to another herb book, what they say about the herbs may be a little bit different. So they vary from book to book, and they also might vary from the way that the different methods of herbalism write those, from Western, TCM, Ayurvedic, any books for indigenous use of herbs. Monographs are going to vary across all of those. So there's a reason why you want to think about creating your own monograph, and that's because it gives you a space to combine all of the different pieces of information, and they're like living documents. So they can grow with you, and they can grow with how you are learning the herbs and the different pieces of information that you pull together. So remember, some of the key components of the why to an herbal monograph include they help you learn, they help you develop your own relationship with the herb and how you view them and how you tend to use them with your family and community and yourself. They help you keep your notes organized and accessible. They help you compare one herb to another, helping you to choose a more appropriate herb for a situation or for a formula. They support a safe, informed herbal practice, and they help you build your own personal materia medica. And that's what you call it when you start to build up your knowledge of herbs. That's your materia medica. And just imagine, like, if you start creating a monograph for every single herb that you learn and you learn to use, and flipping through these in a notebook years from now and seeing how deep your understanding of those herbs has grown. So that's the purpose of it. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to be sharing with you an Herbal Monograph template. And then our herb of the week this week is going to be ashwagandha. And I can't remember who asked to see this herb at our last live. Does anyone here recall? Is that person here? Hey, Heather and Carolina, Oma Steph, thank you all for coming. So at our last Herbal Study Hall session, somebody had wanted to see the ashwagandha. Anne Philbeck. So Anne, I took that suggestion, and that's the herb of the week that we're going to be focusing on. So real quick, let me share my screen here, and I want to share with you the template for an herbal monograph. So hold on one second. While I'm going to share the screen, I would love if everybody shared with me if you've been doing any herby things since last week. And I'm curious, did anybody make the ginger lemon honey or ginger cinnamon honey maybe? Share that in the chat for me. Southern Dave, thanks for coming. All right, let me go ahead and share my screen. All right, can everybody see my screen? I'm going to have to go into my... So I see not yet. No, but I dried and ground up my ginger. Awesome. Can you all see my screen? Yes. Okay, perfect. All right, so here is a template for the Herbal Monograph. And you can see at the top, we've got botanical name, common name, and then plant family, botanical description, gardening considerations. And you probably won't find that in books, but I love having that there because I want to try to grow some of these herbs. The parts of the herb that's used, the constituents, vitamins and minerals. That's another one you may not see in a lot of books, but I really wanted to have that information. Energetics, these are your herbal energetics. And the tastes, herbal tastes, which can also give you an idea of what it is that the herb does, can be determined by the taste. Do we get to print that out? And email me, and I'd be happy to share it with you. Actions, carminative, adaptogen, astringent, just some examples. Traditional uses, I put in here, this little comment is just for me because of the fact that I do study not only just Western herbalism, but TCM and Ayurveda and indigenous. So I put that here for me as a reminder. Hey, Jan and Consume the Goodness, thank you for both of you coming. Also safety considerations, contraindications. You definitely want to have these here, and you always want to have an herb-drug interaction book. You want to make sure you do your research before you try any new herbs for yourself or anyone else. Preparation type, dosage frequency, you need to have that. I also put in a row for research notes and references because I like to collect research. Remember, that's like what I like, clinical research, right? So I love that. And then personal notes, experience, recipes, etc. So that. Now, let me quit sharing for just a minute. Go back to my screen. I don't know why it makes me freeze when I share the screen, but I'm sorry about that. So talking a little bit about ashwagandha, and I want to chat about it a little bit before I share the monograph with you, so you can see how the monograph lines up with the information that we chat about. And just as a reminder, ashwagandha was in the top 10 of the common herbs for Ayurvedic herbal medicine. So, kind of keeping that in mind, it was actually like at the top of the list. And it's Withania somnifera is the Latin name, Withania somnifera, also called winter cherry. And in Western herbalisms, there's going to be a lot of overlap between energetics and uses, but there's a commonality between all of them. So Western herbalism refers to it as being warming, moistening, building, and deeply grounding. It's a nervine tonic, an adaptogen, reproductive tonic, endocrine modulator, a restorative, and it's used a lot for extreme depletion or burnout and chronic stress. They focus on this herb for exhaustion, treating anxiety and long-term stress. Now, this is not a TCM herb, and it's not commonly used in TCM, but I thought I would look at it from a TCM angle. And if there's any traditional Chinese medicine folks that are here, either in the chat or watching the replay, feel free to share a comment as to what you think about what I'm about to say. Because if we were to look at this from a TCM perspective, I think that what this does is tonify the kidney yang and yin. It could be thought of as calming the shen. Shen is like your spirit, right? And it's a nervine. So think of it as being like a calming herb. An adaptogen, supporting qi and blood and strengthening the jing, which in TCM, your jing is kind of like your battery that you're born with. And while your qi is like the day-to-day energy that you spend, your battery is like how much energy you have for the rest of your life. So that's my best shot at putting this in TCM perspective. But it is an Ayurvedic herb, and the Ayurveda highlight this. It's a huge herb in the Ayurvedic herbalism. Ayurveda means smell of horse, and they're talking about how the herb smells. So, yeah, it doesn't smell that great. Also, warming, sweet, bitter, and key actions are that it's a rasayana, which is an Ayurvedic way of saying rejuvenative, like an adaptogen. Strengthening, nervine tonic, used to support sleep, general disability in old age, sexual debility, memory loss, muscle loss, insomnia, chronic anxiety, and skin problems. The dosha effects balances the vata and supports kapha when it's depleted, and it can be provide a mild increase to the pitta if it's used in excess, just due to its warming nature. Hey, Arc Wildman, thanks for coming. So let's see here. I want to share the similarities across all three of these. So hold on. I know it's going to make me freeze. Maybe I'll shut my camera off while I do this. Okay, bear with me. All right. Can y'all see my screen? All right, so similarities across all three traditions: adaptogen, nervine, anti-stress, also referred to as an anxiolytic, a reproductive tonic, endocrine modulator, anti-inflammatory, mild analgesic, sleep supportive, and immune modulating. So it is said in some of the research that ashwagandha helps to increase testosterone. It's a great man herb. And why is this? What it does is it doesn't do it in a direct way, but it does it in an indirect way. So it reduces cortisol via the HPA axis modulation. And what that means is by controlling chronic stress that elevates cortisol, when cortisol is super high, that suppresses testosterone production by interfering with the HPG axis. So ashwagandha modulates the HPA axis and kind of helps restore that normal cortisol rhythm, thereby removing the brakes on the production of testosterone. So I wanted to make sure I shared that, because if you look into the research, you'll see that. And it doesn't always share exactly why it impacts testosterone on that level. And I also wanted to share this because this does not mean that it's a bad herb for women, because it's a great herb for women. You know, if you don't have any of the contraindications or any of the safety parameters, and we'll talk about those in just a minute. But it's also great for recovery and muscle response. And there was a study that showed men taking ashwagandha plus strength training had significantly higher testosterone increases than placebo. And they believe it's likely due to better recovery, lower exercise induced cortisol, reducing inflammation, and improving sleep quality. And the human trials, there was a couple of those. Ashwagandha supplementation modestly increases serum testosterone in healthy men. The effect is strongest when combined with resistance training. Stress reduction is the central pathway. So lower stress, anxiety, and cortisol levels. So I wanted to make sure that I shared that with you all. Any questions so far? That's why I have lots of energy. Drink it in a tea about 3 days a week, alternating with ginseng. Yep. That's great. Thanks for sharing, Anne. All right. Any other questions before we keep moving on? I do want to talk about some of the safety guidelines that you need to keep in mind for this herb. Now, depending on the book that you're looking at, they might say that it's completely safe for everybody, but in some places they don't. And I'm going to share with you the references that I'm using for this live too, because I want to make sure everybody knows where I'm coming from, where I pulled the information from, and gives you some great ideas for books you might want to look into. Real quick though, for dosage and frequency when taking ashwagandha internally, and you'll see this in the monograph that I'm going to share. Tincture 1 to 5, 2 to 4 milliliters 3 times per day, or up to 3 times per day, you could say. A decoction, taking a half a teaspoon dried root in 8 ounces of water, gently simmer for 10 minutes, then steep for half an hour. Take 4 ounces 3 times a day. The dried root does start to lose its activity after a couple of years. Capsules, you could put the powder in a capsule, 400 to 500 milligram capsule, up to twice a day. And this is all being shared. Am I? Okay, hold on. I'm going to take myself down because I'm seeing that I'm froze. Okay. I hope I'm unfrozen. This book is one book that I want to share with you, The Way of Ayurvedic Herbs. And this book is also where I'm getting today's herbal recipe from. Okay. Thank you, Anne. All right. So let's talk about the safety considerations. Even though ashwagandha is a wonderful adaptogen, and if you read in this book, it's going to tell you that it's great for everybody. But if you look in other resources, you'll find contrary information or contra information to that. Because some research has shown that it can interact with medications for blood sugar, blood pressure, thyroid, and the immune system. There have been very rare cases of liver injury. It's also not recommended during pregnancy, breastfeeding, autoimmune conditions, or before surgery. If you're ever going to have surgery or know somebody else who is, it's always a good idea to not take any herbs for a couple of weeks, as a matter of fact. But do your own research and check in with your healthcare provider regarding that. So it's contraindicated for pregnancy, breastfeeding, upcoming surgery, and an autoimmune condition, immunosuppressants, hyperthyroidism, because it may increase thyroid hormone levels, and also any hormone-sensitive prostate cancers, because it may raise testosterone levels. So just be cautious and aware of that. Blood pressure medication, it may lower blood pressure, diabetic medication, it may lower blood sugar, and also any sedatives or CNS, central nervous system depressants, combining with benzodiazepines, sleep meds, opioids, or other sedatives can increase drowsiness and slow breathing. Any questions? And I know I'm freezing up, so I'm going to just turn my camera off and see if that doesn't help. I hope you all can hear me. Okay. Let's see here. I will be sharing my screen in just a minute. My apologies for the problems with the internet. I think it might be the weather. Potential side effects: drowsiness, which you might, I don't know, you might want that. But it is slow acting. It's a very slow acting herb. Stomach upset. So just kind of keep those things in mind. Also, it can be used topically. I have never used it topically, but I did see that in some of the literature. Again, if you're ever going to use an herb topically, just make sure that you do a patch test to make sure that you don't have any problems with that. All right, now I wanted to share. Hey, Big Family Expedition, thank you for coming by. There have been, well, let me go ahead. I'm going to share the Herbal Monograph with you first, and then we'll take a look at the other thing I want to share. All right. So here is, I'll wait. There we go. Okay, had to wait for it to catch up with me. All right, so here is the Herbal Monograph for Ashwagandha that I put together. So this is like me filling in the little table. I will tell you, you think you know an herb, and then you go to fill one of these out and you learn new stuff. You just can't help it. So Withania somnifera, and some of this we already talked about, but it's in the plant family Solanaceae, and it can grow up to 14 inches to 3 feet tall. So keep that in mind if you're planting it. And you can see this little picture up here that I was able to copy and paste from a research article that I'm going to share with you in just a minute. It has slightly hairy stems, small greenish yellow bell-shaped flowers, small berries that ripen to an orange red, and they have a little calyx on them like a tomatillo does. The roots I put in bold because that's the main part that you use. They're long, fleshy, and cream colored. And gardening considerations, if you want to try to grow this, you can start them indoors like you would your tomatoes. That's exactly what it said. And full sun, prefers a soil pH of 6.5 to 8, grows in zones 8 to 13 as a perennial, but it can grow as an annual in colder climates. It's frost intolerant. Even a little frost kills it. So again, comparing it to like your tomato environment. But it is highly drought tolerant. I'm liking that. And again, parts used primarily roots. So the constituents: steroidal lactones, including withanolides, A to Y. I looked this up because I was like, there's A to Y. Is that a typo in this book that I'm reading? What does that mean? Apparently, there are approximately 300 withanolides within ashwagandha, and they named them. So I don't know what they did after Z, but but this plant, the withanolides A to Y apparently are a big deal. So kind of calling that out. And they're also something that contributes to the antioxidant activity of the plant. I also made a little underlining here under vitamins and minerals for iron. So it contains iron, calcium, magnesium, potassium, zinc, and manganese. And I underlined iron because anybody who has any issues with iron, there's a name for it down below in here. They need to be careful about, taking ashwagandha just like they would any herbal supplement that contained iron. Bitter, astringent, sweet. And then actions, I combine these, and you see the numbers because I numbered them according to what book I pulled the information from. And you can see there's even a little more information here than I had like in my little summary. So, calming adaptogen, antispasmodic, anti-tumor, diuretic, immune amphoteric, enhances endocrine function, including a thyroid stimulant, and helps boost conversion of T4, which is the thyroid storage hormone, to T3, the active thyroid hormone, regulating testes and adrenal glands. And other notes just include that they regulate hormones and improve the signaling of the HPA-HPG axis. We talked about that. We talked about the dosha, and we talked about the TCM. I also have the traditional uses. I kind of shared these with you guys. Here's the leaves: fever, hemorrhoids, wounds, tumor, sores, rashes. Fruit, used externally for ringworm. Khalsa is the author of The Way of Ayurvedic Herbs. He notes this is a superb herb for treating chronic anxiety. And then reference number 2 relieves anxiety, fatigue, cloudy thinking. There was also one point of interest that I read commenting that mice were given ashwagandha and given a maze test, and that they performed better after they'd taken the ashwagandha in their maze test. So it helped their critical thinking in that way. Stress-induced insomnia. Safety indications and considerations. So you can see the hemochromatosis. That's what I couldn't remember a minute ago. So excess iron. Anybody with excess iron needs to be cautious of taking this. The herb-drug interactions. And then here's the prepared type, the dosage and frequency. And then here's the references. And I'll show you guys these books as soon as I quit sharing my screen. But The Way of Ayurvedic Herbs, an awesome book on adaptogens by David Winston, and also The Modern Herbal Dispensatory by Thomas Easley. So these were the main 3 herbs, and then also some online information that I pulled to get all of these notes together for you guys. Now, what I've got here in non-clinical and clinical trials, this is just one of the things I like to nerd out on. So there's 3 different articles here that are recent, and that's what I was looking for, was recent articles that I could just share with you for a reference in case you wanted to go check out more information online. And these are publicly available. So let's see. Where are they? I tried to open them up for you. I think I've got to stop sharing and then share again. Hold on. Yes, big pot in a heated greenhouse. Or, you just recognize that it's going to be an annual for you. But you want the root, so it'd be awesome if we could retain that a little bit longer, right? Let's see. All right, we'll go to this one. All right, let me wait for this to catch up with you guys. All right, here is one of those articles. When you're studying herbs, it's always, books are awesome, right? Like, I love the books. I love that they include not just information from one journal article, but a lot of journal articles. But it's always a good idea to get comfortable with the way that journal articles are presented as you go through, your herbal journey of learning herbs, and recognize the components of a good article and a well-written clinical trial. You'll kind of catch the gist of it as you do that. But you can see this article is about the effects of ashwagandha on strength, endurance, power, recovery, muscle mass, body fat, fertility, anxiety, metabolic health, and aging. And there's just a lot of great information here. So this is one of them. I wonder if it's going to let me change screens. Talks about stress, and cortisol is just huge. The impact that it plays on stress and cortisol. Ashwagandha really plays a great role. And I love this figure here. You can see it actually increases the GABA production in your brain, improves sleep quality, lowers your body's perception of stress. So that's still helpful. Lowers cortisol, so benefits your adrenal glands in that way. Helps to improve the building and rebuilding of your muscle mass, physical performance, and recovery. In one of the articles that I read, I don't think it was this one, I think it was a different one. I said build and rebuild your muscle mass because it was looking at an older population that was undergoing strength training. And, all of us as we get older, we should build muscle. It's very important. And they were showing that it improved the rebuilding of muscle mass. So on a systemic level, overall, decreasing oxidative stress and inflammation. I'm going to try to grow some this year. I'm super excited about it. Hey, Natasha, the Budget Preppers. Good to see you. For anybody who doesn't know, in the fall, Natasha over at the Budget Preppers and I, we host a My Home Apothecary collaboration. All kinds of great videos come out during that time from different channels. All right, I want to share with you, I don't want to get into the weeds too much with one, so bear with me because I want to share one other one with you. Well, actually two other ones. If you guys, is this interesting? Are you guys enjoying seeing these articles? No worries, Natasha. No worries at all. Life happens. Okay, here's another one. Withania somnifera, comprehensive review of its pharmacological properties, therapeutic applications, and mechanisms of action. And this gives you a more clinical view as to how the things work. You'll see, like, based on the constituents, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, anti-cancer, and how that's all working together. And there's that picture I copied and pasted into my own monograph. But anyways, this is some great reading material for you. And I will drop these links into the chat so that you guys, or maybe not into the chat, but I'll put it in there as a comment. Don't forget to go and leave a comment for me after the live is over. I'm going to share one more. Wait, am I? Maybe I'm not. Okay. Let's hop back over to the monograph real quick. All right, I'll wait for the screen to catch up with me. So Natasha's drinking a tea of lion's mane, ashwagandha, and magnesium. Oh, a sparkling drink. That is awesome. Very cool. And magnesium. That sounds really good. Okay. All right, so here is some of the articles, just APA style, kind of sharing that. And to treat anemia, I also read a teaspoon of powder in warm milk with molasses may also relieve perimenopausal symptoms such as muscle pain and cloudy thinking, and to increase insomnia and stress. You can use, or to decrease insomnia and stress. Here is the herbal recipe of the week. And again, this is taken from the Way of Ayurvedic Herbs. I'll share with you all three of the books that I referenced during this live after we get through this. So 10 parts ashwagandha, 1 part pipali. That is long pepper. You may substitute black pepper for that. And 10 parts honey. You can also add in 5 parts ghee. That is optional. And you would take a half to 1 teaspoon up to twice per day. That's what I saw. So it's kind of interesting that I also saw in other places you could, take the tea or something up to 3 times per day. To treat chronic heart and vascular disorders, just a note here, it's often combined with Arjuna bark, which I have. So I made sure to put that note in mine. I have some Arjuna bark. All right, I'm going to pause here. Did everybody get that recipe? You can screenshot it. Hey, Charles, thanks for coming. All right. Can you put a 1 in the chat if everybody's got that recipe and I'm ready to move on? Okay, perfect. All right, let me quit sharing my screen. I will try to share my camera again. Hopefully I won't be frozen. Let's see if it lets me not be frozen. We're getting some pretty rough weather here. Okay. Yay, I'm not frozen. All right. So this is one of the books I talked about. This one, The Way of Ayurvedic Herbs. It is by, I don't know if you can see it because of the light reflecting. There we go. Kartapur King Singh's Khalsa. There we go. This is a really great book. I reference it a lot. And then another book that I'm actually in the process of reading, and this is a great one, is Adaptogens by David Winston. So this is another book you might want to think about adding to your herbal library. And the other book that I used, absolutely, Penny. Yeah, you're welcome to take a screenshot. Showing it so you can see the author, Thomas Easley and Stephen Bourne, The Modern Herbal Dispensatory. This is a great book too. Really like this one. It's got a lot of great recipes, herbal recipes in there. All right. Now I want to see if anybody has any questions. Any questions about ashwagandha or making your own herbal monograph? Feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer. There's a lot of herbalists here with us, so you might get all kinds of answers to your question. Oh, do you, Penny? Yes, that's an awesome book. I love that book. All right, and I also want to ask any requests for an herb of the week for next week? I have one in mind. I'm thinking about doing a astragalus root. But does anybody have any other herbs that they'd like to get more information on? The money tree herb. They're all money tree herbs at this point. Grow bell peppers and it's a money tree. Hey, Jennifer Ocean Homestead, thanks for coming. Horsetail, okay. That's one of my favorites. I love avocado oil infused with horsetail. I mean, and that's topical use, but I also put it in teas. All right. Well, it looks like we got through everything quick today. Before we end, can you put a 1 in the chat also if you liked the format Colt's Foot? I have some of that. Okay. I like that suggestion too. Barrage and Feverfew. Those are great suggestions. Everybody work on your herbal monographs. Get those together. Because like I mentioned, every one of the books that I shared with you spoke to ashwagandha a little bit differently. By creating my own herbal monograph, I was able to get all the different pieces of information in one spot for myself. And so then I'm able to get like my own herbal binder together. And one of the requirements of getting your registered herbalist designation is that you know and can use a certain number of herbs. I think it's like 80 or 120 or something like that. So Colt's Foot cough drops last year. Awesome. Good to know. That's a great idea. All right. And I saw a couple people respond about the format for today's Herbal Study Hall. If there's anything in particular you all want to see me do or do differently, let me know. Again, thank you all for coming. Thank you for sharing this out. And if you could leave a comment on the main video, on the video once it posts, that would also be super helpful. I hope to see you all again next week, and we'll go ahead and conclude today's Herbal Study Hall. See you next week. Don't forget to do the herby things. Your assignment is do something herbal, get your monograph started, and come back next week and let me know how it goes. Thank you all. Bye, everybody.